Welcome back to Market Headlines. Government will increase stimulus for social assistance after the poverty rate in March 2020 increased by 1.63 million people. The government plans to increase social assistance budget in anticipation of rising poverty rate in Indonesia. Previously, Statistik Indonesia stated in March 2020 the number of poor people reached 26.42 million people. This means an increase of 1.63 million people compared to the period of September 2019. Government point to strong correlations between poverty and COVID-19 pandemic. Minister of Finance, Sri Mulyani Indrawati, explained that the increase in poverty rate was caused by the effects of large-scale social restrictions that hampered economy.
Kita yang sekarang ini sudah ditambah dan diperpanjang. Jadi sekarang seperti Pak Ari tadi, untuk PKH kita akan berikan tambahan beras. Kita juga menambah seperti yang Presiden kemarin sampaikan, usaha kecil menengah bansos produktif. Jadi kelompok yang betul-betul belum bankable sekarang diidentifikasi dan mereka akan mendapatkan kredit tapi dalam bentuk bansos. Sehingga mereka tidak terbebani untuk mengembalikan tapi mereka juga bisa kembali memiliki daya tahan. Jadi
the government estimates that by this year the increase in poverty rate can reach to 4 until 5 million people, while the unemployment is predicted to reach 3 to 4 million people. Jakarta, Rahayu Patmo for IDX Channel. Yes, viewers, the coronavirus pandemic is expected to severely weaken Indonesia's economy and populations expected to slip under the poverty line. Around 1.63 million Indonesians fell into poverty in March compared to with September last year as the COVID-19 pandemic took its toll on the poor across the country. Let's see the detail through the next graphic. Here it is. As we gather the data, Indonesian fell into poverty by September 2019, which is expected no COVID-19 at all in here. In this case, it's only 24.79 million people under the poverty line. But however, when we talk about March 2020, the number went up significantly by adding up 1.6 million people to be 26.47 million people. And this extravagant number, we can see that the poverty rate rose by 9.79% in March from previously in September, as 26.42 million people were living below the poverty lines. Through the virtual press briefing, head of Statistik Indonesia, Suharyanto, stated that COVID-19 pandemic is taking a great toll on economic activity and adversely affecting people's livelihood. Assessing through September 2019 to March 2020's data, there were cities with the highest incline in poverty rate. What are those? Let's see it through the next graphic. So here it is. We can see cities with the highest incline in poverty rate. First of all, we can see Jakarta, Banten, and also West Java. For Banten itself, it was previously at 6.8%, but however, the number went up to be 7.88%. And when we talk about Jakarta with the poverty rate of 3.4% before, and here and after, the number went up to 4.53%. And it's the same with West Java by the rate of 4.49% and went up to be 5.92%. And as a whole of a pandemic ravaging the economy, as the government expects 4 million people to fall below the poverty line at this year, making for a total of 28 million poor in the nations, or around 10.6% of the populations. But there's an interesting fact in here. Finance Minister Sri Mulyani was the one that spoke about the rising figures of the poverty levels as of March 2020. But she confirmed that the increase was still under control. How is that so? Let's take a look on the next graphic. Here it is. We got a statement from Minister of Finance. Sri Mulyani Indrawati stated literally that the increase in poverty is still within our predictions. range that the increase is still around 1.2 million people. In addition, Sri Mulyani said that the situation was indeed the impact of economic slowdown caused by COVID-19 pandemic. As we know, in recent months, Indonesia has been forced to implement large-scale social restrictions. In response to this increase, Sri Mulyani said that the government would focus on social assistance. And let's take a look how much government has set to secure citizens through the social assistance expenditure. Here it is. We can see the table about social assistance expenditures, realizations, and the allocations. First of all, it is diverse into some categories. And the biggest one goes to Family Hope Program, Staple Co-op Food Program, and Village Assistance. Here it is. Let's take a look at the Family Hope Program. The allocations is 37.4 trillion rupiah, but however, the realizations is only still in 19.1 trillion rupiah. And if we're moving on to Staple Food Co-op Program, the allocations from the government previously initiated was in 43.6 trillion rupiah. But however, when it comes to realizations, the number was still low by 17.2 trillion rupiah. And we can see the reason behind this wide gap between allocations and realizations is mostly about the distributions issue. First issue to address is the logistic issue. And as it has a strong relations with poverty, government also keep unemployment stay low. Even though it seems hard to deny the fact that amidst this huge battle with COVID-19 pandemic, attempt to contain unemployment is not easy, but government through the Ministry of Manpower gives some suggestions to the companies. In the next graphic, let's take a look at the Ministry of Manpower suggestions to the company itself. So here it is. The Ministry of Manpower suggestions to company in retaining the workforce. So this is in order to avoiding layoff and furlough. And also, government suggested the company to cut the salary and facilities on the top level so it can be dispersed in the next low management. And then the second one is that the shift reductions. And the third one is overtime cut. So government expect company to cut the overtime labors. And the fourth one is work days reductions and also apply rotary on unpaid leave workers. Even though it is under company's capability, government's hand is needed to protect its society from high unemployment rate. Here it is why. As it is predicted by National Development Planning Minister, some 5.5 million people may lose their job this year. The job losses translate into losses in the income and weaker consumer spending, threatening the country's economy. And in inclusions, low unemployment rate means low poverty rate as well. And while waiting for the COVID-19 outbreak to pass, we hope nothing but the best for government in handling COVID-19 economic consequences, which is poverty and unemployment rate. Stay tuned to market headlines because we will be right back after this quick break.